A lot of people tell me I look like Jason, but there's a difference. I got 2 eye holes and a mouth hole so that I can run off at the mouth. And speaking of running off at the mouth, there's a lot of people over in Killer Flicks running off at the mouth. Well, guess what? I'm not going to tolerate it. Oh, look at all the dust on this thing. I'm not going to tolerate it!
It's Drewski McGillicuddy's Friday the 13th Part 2 movie review.
Hey everybody, it's Drewski McGillicuddy, and I just watched Friday the 13th Part 2. Toki never fails. It really never fails, and my secretary's not here to wrangle the dogs, so you're gonna have to deal with it. But anyway, Friday the 13th Part 2 takes place 5 years after the original. We open up with a little boy just frolicking in the rain, and his mom calls him in, and then here's, who could this be? Now you gotta wonder, when you originally watched this movie without knowing, did you know that was Jason? Because I don't know. I don't remember the first time I watched this movie, oddly enough. I remember watching the first one. But speaking of which, speaking of the first one, they recap the end of the first one at the beginning of this in a dream sequence, which is good, because I completely forgot to talk about the ending in my first Friday the 13th review, where, you know, it gets crazy. It's crazy. Because I also wanted to bring up the fact that since before this, who was ever the killer? Before this, when was there ever a female killer in a horror movie? Let me know in the comment section if you know. Or don't. I mean, I'm trying to get people to talk to me, but they don't. But anyway, who gives a shit, right? So, we got Adrienne King as Alice once again, and she's just, you know, having a nightmare. She wakes up, she talks to her mom, tells her mom she's fine, she's got to put her life back together. She takes like a 3-second shower, doesn't even show us her tits. Doesn't even show us her tits! But I do like how, you know, they're zooming in on the shower, and then it's just like, try not to look at the camera, because you know she had to be trying really hard not to look at the camera. And then we get the very first on-record cat jump scare in this movie. If I'm wrong about that, let me know. Let me know when the first cat jump scare originated. Where or what movie? Yeah, just let me know. But anyway, so the cat scares her, and then she goes to feed the cat, opens the refrigerator, and there's fucking Mrs. Voorhees' head right there in the refrigerator. Then she gets a screwdriver to the temple. And then we get some great music from Harry Manfredini. I love the soundtrack in the second movie. I love all the Friday the 13th soundtrack. I mean, a lot of people say that all the scores sound the same or very similar. And it's like, yeah, that's what happens when you use violins and like orchestral instruments. It sounds like an orchestra. I mean, I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, so we go to see. I was going to try to talk about how I can remember these characters' names, but the characters we meet at the beginning, I remember Ted, but the guy with the goofy hat that has the sexy ass truck. Look at this truck. Hopefully I can find it. I'm just sitting here like a jackass. But this truck is probably the coolest truck ever put in a movie. I don't care what anybody says. I want this truck. I would rock this up and down the boulevard. But I love how he goes to call Ted to find out where to meet him at, to pick him up to go to the campsite or the campground, whatever you want to call it. And the tow truck driver tows the truck away, and he chases him down the street. Come to find out it was Ted all along that had his truck towed. And just stuff like that make this movie just a little bit better than the first one for me, because I like the characters in the first one, but I really, really like the characters in this movie, especially Paul and Jenny. They're two of the strongest characters in the entire series. But then you also got, what's his name, in the wheelchair. I like him. And then you got that hornball girl that is just horny as shit. And for all she knows, his penis doesn't even work. But he's got muscles. But yeah. And let's talk about her for a second. When she finally realizes, hey, I'm going to get laid, she goes and takes off what was relatively a cute outfit and then puts on the fucking ugliest panties I've ever seen and the ugliest fucking sweater I've ever seen. Like, what the... And then Amy Steele sort of goes to do it, but she's just going to take a shot. But it's like people are constantly undressing in these movies for no reason. I mean, I guess there was a reason, but it's like, what the hell did you... I don't know. It's a fucking 80s slasher movie. I don't want to look too much into it. But anyway, so they're getting this camp ready to open up. They're doing their counselor training. And then Jenny shows up late in her Volkswagen Bug, blah, blah, blah. We don't need to talk about that stuff. But I do love the campfire tale scene where he's telling everybody about Jason, and then Ted jumps out and scares everybody. I love that scene. It kind of adds a realistic touch to it, because these are the kinds of people you could see yourself actually hanging out with. Like, these aren't unlikable fucking characters like every fucking slasher type movie that they try to make nowadays, or like all these fucking remakes where they got these unlikable characters or these unrelatable characters or these 40-year-olds playing teenagers. These were actually 20-something-year-olds playing 20-something-year-olds. It was great. It was a great time to be alive, even though I don't think I was alive yet. I think what is 1982 or something? I don't know. I didn't look. My secretary is not here. But anyway, so Paul tells everybody, don't go to Camp Blood, blah, 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 blah. It's off limits. But what do those two hornballs at the beginning of the movie do? They go off to Camp Blood, so you know they're going to fucking die. And then you got this, I don't know if he's a sheriff or what, but he looks like he got his uniform from a costume shop. That's one of those small little nitpicks I have about this movie. One of the other small nitpicks I have about this movie is Crazy Ralph's death. Okay? Crazy Ralph's, sitting there perving out, trying to watch Amy Steele take a shower, I guess, or watch them make out. And now he's standing behind a tree. And if you look closely, Jason doesn't throw the barbed wire around like that and catch it and strangle him. He puts it around the tree like that. Now, how the fuck are you just gonna... No. So that's a little nitpick gripe I have. Cool kill, hell yeah, strangling somebody with some barbed wire. But, I mean, I think it would have been more realistic if you would have threw it around like that instead of like this. Like, how are you going to get that around the tree? The top of the tree is way up there. You're only about yay high. How the fuck are you going to get it way up there? But, that's beside the point. Another thing that makes me mad is the one girl that Scott was harassing that gets naked. Because we do get some nudity. But she's got tiny little boobs, but they are very nice tiny little boobs. I mean, I'm not judgmental against boobs. A boob's a boob. Unless it's like sagging and it looks like a fucking deflated balloon sliding down the wall. Then, maybe I'll look away. But other than that, yeah. And then you got Scott, which even he, for being like such a pervert and like, possibly a raper, he's kind of likable. I couldn't buy him as a raper because his eyes are so dreamy. And I kind of like the will they, won't they, until he gets caught in the booby trap. And then, if you've seen the movie, you know what happens to him. But, because she was generally concerned when she found out he was dead. She was like, oh, well, of course anybody probably be like that. But when he first gets in it, she was generally concerned, what can she do to help? But back to what I was getting at before I started rambling on, she gets the whole, and then it fades away into the next scene, and we don't get to see what actually happens. But, a kill's a kill. This franchise has a higher body count than Halloween. Not to make any Halloween fans mad. Don't get me wrong. I like the Halloween movies. But I will defend to the death the Friday the 13th movies as the fact that there's more creative kills. There's more kills. There's usually more nudity. There's more likable characters. That's for fuck sure. I mean, sure, a lot of people can fucking go back and forth on Shelley being we're not here to talk about Shelley. That's the next movie. We'll talk about him in the next movie. But everybody in this movie is a likable character. There's plenty of unlikable characters in Halloween 2, but, you know, I don't really want to keep comparing. Actually, maybe that's what I should do. Maybe I should compare all these movies to Halloween 2, since everyone's talking about how great Halloween is. Well, let's talk about how great Friday the 13th is. Anyway, this movie, it's great. It really is. It's one of the best slashers out there. I've recorded this video once before already, and I probably forgot to mention this time that, a lot like the original, I didn't care for this one when I first saw it. I had seen, this is going to sound real stupid, but the first Friday the 13th I ever saw was, I'm pretty sure, Jason Takes Manhattan. And I loved it. I loved it. Just the way he looks, the hockey mask, all that shit. And then when I watched this one, he didn't have the hockey mask. I was like, this is just like Michael Myers not being in Halloween 3. But then I grew up and I watched it, you know, with an open mind, like you're supposed to watch movies. And I was like, yeah, that's actually a pretty creepy look. So creepy, in fact, that I pretty much, it inspired my haunted house character. But anyway, so where the hell were we? Hopefully I brought up the fact that, say, we get to the dinner scene, you know, after all that, we get to the dinner scene, and Paul tells everybody, we're getting serious tomorrow, so we're going to go out for one last hurrah. So what happened to these other 15 people that went off to get drunk? Are you telling me that going off to get drunk saved a bunch of people from dying in a slasher movie? Now see, because I filmed this twice. I don't know if I said this before in this video or in the other video. I don't know. So I'm saying it again, just to cover ground and make sure that I bring up the fact that 15 people or better survived this movie because they went to get drunk. I want to know what happened to him. What happened to Ted? Where did he go? Did he get with the bartender? But we'll never know. But then, you know, because then Paul and Jenny come back, and everybody's already dead. And then it leads us in to one of the best third acts in the franchise. But like I said, I'm not sure if I mentioned this in this one or the first take. But regardless of what you think about the beginnings or the middles of these movies, even if you're not an actual fan, you cannot deny the third acts in these movies are badass. They are. They're badass. And this one in particular, like when they take the mask off of Jason, that was some creepy shit. Like when he comes through that window, you know, the first time you watch this movie, if you watched this at a respectable time, like back when you were young, and you didn't wait until you were a full-grown adult to watch, you know, one of the best slasher series of all time, if you would have actually watched it, you know, at the age-appropriate age of like 6 or 7, yeah, you know that scared the shit out of you. Anyway. But yeah. And then you got Jenny puts on Mrs. Voorhees' sweater, and she distracts Jason, and you know what happens. You've all seen this movie. You don't need me to tell you what happens. I just want to tell you how I feel about it. And I love it. I love the ending of this movie. So yeah, I guess we'll rate it. Should we rate it? See, I had a hard time rating my last movie. I don't even want to do a rating system. But if I had to put a number on it, I'd give it an 8.1. Because it's just a little bit better than the first one. I feel like I painted myself into a corner putting numbers on these things, because my numbers are going to be all fucked up. Because pretty much all these movies are going to have like an 8. Except for maybe 1 or 2 of them. Because I love the Friday the 13th franchise. And you can too, just, you know, watch it. And if you don't like it, you know, there's probably something wrong with you. Anyway, like the video, share it with your friends, tell your mom, subscribe if you want. If you're not already, there's some kind of fucking bell thing that you can click. Ding, ding, ding. And this has been Drewski McGillicuddy. Not that anybody gives a shit.